Welcome to the Unapologetic Podcast with Kaitlyn Talamante, hosted by LadyBoss. This is the space where women rise, own their power, and stop playing small. We get real, we get raw, and we get fired up about confidence, health, business, and life. If you're ready to step into who God made you to be and unapologetically live your best life, then girl, you are in the right place. Let's do this.
This is what unapologetic looks like.
This is my era. I'm walking boldly in my purpose. I'm done dimming my light.
I'm done playing small. God didn't create me to blend in. I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. The old me was surviving. The new me is free.
We rise together.
Here's to living life unapologetically. Hey ladies, today's episode is extra special. Not just because of who is here, but because today, the day of filming, is her birthday. You may know her as a powerhouse voice on the radio, but I know her as a longtime lady boss who has inspired so many with her resilience, her realness, and her radiant spirit. She's gone live multiple times during the challenge we did in November, the gratitude challenge we did. I am pleased to introduce Miss Nicole Calcagno. Not going to butcher it. She is a radio personality, fiance, a concert junkie. We're going to talk about that. And a Chicago sports superfan who has faced more challenges than most of us could even imagine. And yet she still shows up with joy and humor and heart every single time. Today, we're going to dive into her story, the setbacks, the strength, and how she kept going even when life got heavy, and how she's continuing to rise one day at a time. So grab your drinks, grab your water, grab your Starbucks birthday coffee. Let's send her some birthday love and let's dive into it. Nicole, how are you doing?
I'm so happy to be here, and I'm excited to spend part of my birthday with you, Kaitlyn. This is so exciting.
Yes, I'm so excited to get to be here. I didn't know until yesterday that today was going to be your birthday, the day we were filming. This has been planned for
A couple months now.
Yeah, a couple months. Yeah. Oh, so happy birthday.
Thank
so
you.
Excited to have you on. How are you feeling today? Like, what does it mean to be celebrating life right now at this point in your journey where you're at?
To be honest, I feel good. I am grateful to have another birthday because every year I turn another year older. Some people might be like, oh, I don't want to get older. I don't want to age. But for me, I'm like, thank God I made it to another birthday, because over the years, there's been many times where I didn't know if I was going to make it. So the fact that I've been able to make it to another birthday is pretty exciting. But I feel good. I feel excited. I'm ready for the next chapter in the next year and ready to just kind of take the bull by the horns. This year's been a little bit of a transition year, which I'll talk about a little bit, but I'm ready to kind of take the next steps towards my future and see what happens.
From what I know of Nicole, like you've always been this big, vibrant personality, very bright. And was there ever a time where you felt like that light was being dimmed? Like how do you get back up over and over again with all the pieces you've been through? We'll dive into those pieces in a little bit, but how do you just show up so vibrant every day? Like,
it's not always easy, I will say. There is a time about a year ago where I was feeling really down, where I just didn't even want to go to bed, get out of bed. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to do anything. And, I'll be honest, every day I wake up and I decide, okay, I can either be happy and grateful today, or I could be miserable and crotchety and not happy. You know what I mean? And
yes.
I try to tell myself, no matter what happens, just be positive, be happy. And I really do try to live that way. Some days is harder than others, obviously. Some days aren't going to be great. Some days are going to be difficult. But I just know that every day is a gift. And when I wake up, I can decide how I'm going to react. Because, I heard this quote one time and it really stuck with me. You can only control your attitude and your effort.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to live by those two things every day. I can control my attitude and I can control what effort I put into what, So that's kind of how I just try to look at every day when I wake up.
I love that. Like you get that choice of how you're going to show up right there.
Yeah. Not perfect all the time, but I try.
We're human. Perfect is not a thing. Okay?
Exactly.
No. So I would love to hear more about Nicole and her story and the last couple of years. Would you mind diving into that for us?
Absolutely. So I have had my fair share of medical chances. I've had doctors look me in the face and say, I don't know how you're alive multiple times. When I was 28, it started. I thought I was just really tired and I had a superficial blood clot in my leg and I went to get a test done just to kind of like check my heart and stuff like that because they thought I should get an echocardiogram, which is just an ultrasound of your heart. So I go in, I'm like 28. I'm like, I got to go to work in an hour. I was like mad. I was like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this. And halfway through the appointment, this woman runs out of the room. And I was like, that's weird. And the next thing you know, a doctor comes in and I'm in an ambulance. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So
No kidding.
apparently, my heart was only pumping out blood at 30%. Okay, which is very bad. And the blood pooled at the bottom of my heart and caused a clot about this big in the bottom chamber of my heart. So they had me in an ambulance. I was at the hospital. Before I even got into a room, I had an IV blood thinner hooked up to me. And this is happening when I lived 3 hours away from home. My parents were in Chicago. I was down in Springfield, Illinois at the time. I had a couple friends and a roommate, but like I was just kind of like, what do I do? Like I'm by myself. So I called my parents. They come down. I was in the hospital for about a week. I got every test you could ever imagine under the sun. And luckily, I was there for about a week. They were able to kind of figure it out. And I was able to get released with medication. They got the clot gone. I had the IV blood thinners. Like it was very lucky that they were able to kind of figure it out. So that happened. And about a year and a half later, I'm trucking along. Everything's fine. And then I black out and fall down a flight of stairs. I woke up to my mom screaming at the top of the stairs. I was home visiting. I had no idea how I got there. So I went to the hospital. I got a bunch of neurology tests. I got a bunch of other tests. I had to wear like a heart monitor for a month. And apparently I had an arrhythmia, which is like an irregular heartbeat. And that caused me to black out. So I went in for a test and they said, this is, by the way, 10 days before my 30th birthday. This happened. So they were like, we're just going to do a test where we're going to see, we should be able to do this simple test where we basically like cauterize something to make my heart work normally. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. They're
No big
like,
deal.
but if that's not it, you might get a defibrillator. So we don't know. So I went under not knowing what was going to happen. So I went under, they did the test and it was the worst case scenario. It was actually my ventricles they were like, so your heart is supposed to pump like this. My ventricles were quivering like this. They weren't even pumping correctly. So that caused the arrhythmia. So I woke up and I had a defibrillator put in 10 days before my 30th birthday, which was such a buzzkill, by the way, for a 30th birthday party. So yeah, that was a very humbling experience because I wasn't able to drive for 3 months after that. I couldn't lift my arm above I couldn't lift it above a certain area. So my mom stayed for the first week and she literally had to like wash my hair for me and help me get dressed. And thank God for that. So when you're, almost 30 years old and your mom is helping you put your clothes on, it's very humbling. And then a while passes, everything is fine. They discover that I also have a hole in my heart too, which is a new thing that I didn't know about. Either the previous doctors missed it or it was new. We're not sure. So that was a whole thing. But everything has been good health-wise. And then about 2 years ago, I got a deep vein blood clot in my leg and I had one in each lung. So this is now the fourth time that I've basically faced death. And because you have a blood clot in your lung, it could kill you like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was really scary because that was just about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And I was like, okay, I've been through this. I've been through this. I've been through this. This better not take me out. I was mad. You know what I mean? So, but coincidentally, I'm in a different place now than I was when all this first started. So I just had this feeling. I'm like, I'm going to be okay. I know I'm going to be okay. So I got through that. And the craziest thing happened after that. So this is from 28 till about 2.5 years ago. So 42. So all these years, no doctor could tell me why this was happening. Nobody can figure out what was going on to cause all these things. So I met this doctor in the hospital. He was assigned to me because he was on call that day. And he did a bunch of tests because he had a hunch. So I went to go see him when I got out of the hospital as a follow-up. And I thought we were just going to talk about like my blood thinner because I have to be on a blood thinner now. And he was like, well, I found something. And I was like, excuse me? What do you mean you found something?
Yeah.
He literally figured out why all this was happening. He told me that I had this weird gene mutation that I was born with. And it made some chemical in my blood skyrocket because all these other things were off kilter. And that chemical that rose causes vascular issues because I kept getting blood clots like over the years. cardiac function issues. So my heart wasn't pumping correctly. All the heart issues that I had were all functional, not like there's like different types of issues, like, but mine was all like function and like not working properly.
Mhm.
All that stuff was because of this chemical that was skyrocketed in my blood. And this guy found it and I broke down. There is no way that that man was not put into my life. There was divine intervention there. There had to be,
100%.
And he was able to pinpoint why this was happening. He helped me get all these levels regulated. And I physically felt the best I've ever felt since I've met this doctor. And the crazy thing is, all I needed to do to regulate all these things was iron infusion supplements and B12, vitamin D, like really heavy vitamin D. And it was crazy because iron, vitamin B12, and vitamin D are the three things that got this normalized. And yeah, so now, I mean, I am still on the blood thinner for precaution, which makes sense. And I do take, medicine for my heart every day because the functionality, we want to keep it where it is. But I will say my last heart test, my heart function is improved by 20%,
Yeah.
which is amazing. Yeah. So it's just crazy how all these years went by. Nobody could help me. Nobody could figure it out. And this one man just was like, this is what it is. And I was like, insane. So my quality of life has improved quite a bit. And my physicality, like I physically feel better,
Feel better.
which is good because, it's hard when you are fighting these chronic issues and you don't know what's causing them and they just keep happening. And,
Time and
yeah, I mean, as someone in my 40s, I've literally faced death more times than I want to count on a hand. And it's scary when that happens, and everyone's like, oh, are you being dramatic? No, I'm not being dramatic. Like I literally could have died at any of those moments, and it just really makes you appreciate things a lot differently when you're faced with that. So during all of this, I've had a lot of fluctuation with my health where I felt great and I'm like, I could go run a marathon right now. And then I can barely get out of bed. You know what I mean? Because one of the side effects of heart failure and things like that is you retain fluid. So for a couple years, I was just puffy all the time, like that uncomfortable puffy feeling. And it took a while to kind of figure out how to get that under control. So now I'm kind of in a state where, like, okay, everything's figured out, everything is under control, everything is kind of working the way it should be. Now I can finally dive back into doing what I need to do to better my health, And so that's kind of what I mean by when I said I was in like a transition period, because for a long time when all this stuff was going on, I couldn't really exercise or do much. And, I couldn't really focus on that. I just had to focus on making it. You know what I mean? So I didn't really like focus on my nutrition or working out. I'm like, I just want to wake up tomorrow, So it's kind of messes with your mind too, because it's like there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of panic and worry. But as I've gotten older and gone through all this stuff, I've realized that like, if that hadn't taken me out before, it's probably not going to take me out now. And I know I'm supposed to be here for a reason. And that's what I want to figure out.
oh, it's so powerful. I love that. Here for a reason. I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Wow, that is quite the story. And to think that like for that many years you lived in an unknown for a
Yeah.
doctor to finally dive into it. And that's one thing that kills me about our healthcare system is it took that one doctor to finally dive into it. How many others have you met before? And
Yeah.
then it was solved, or you're able to manage it with 3 items you can buy at any grocery,
I know.
pharmacy, or like,
It's crazy. And he told me that he had actually seen patients with that before. And that's why he had a hunch that that's what it was. And I think it's basically, I didn't meet with the right kind of doctor because this is a blood doctor and I never met a blood doctor before. So I think because I kept getting the blood clots recurring, they all thought it was a cardiac issue and we couldn't figure it out. But really, it was this other issue that the blood doctor was able to figure out. So it's just crazy how it happened. And, I am so glad that I have answers now. And I know kind of a lot more to be able to treat myself properly. It just took a really long time to figure it out.
I'm glad. I'm so happy they finally figured it out.
Yeah.
It is amazing what a blood doctor can do. Actually. So you may or may not know, I'm really big about like you get your blood checked once a year, healthy or not, you just never know. Get it checked. Your levels. And as women, it's not just your yearly blood work, it's your hormone levels, it's the whole 9 yards. Do the full panel, ladies, once a year. And there's 2 pieces to it. One, I preach this because where I started my journey was at 27 years old, being told I was high risk of a heart attack in the next 10 years because I did this blood work. And I did the blood work and it felt crummy.
Yeah.
Right. And so not as scary as yours. I was just, had
No,
the
hey,
threat.
no
Like,
comparison.
right. But it's still like it wakes you up. You're like, oh my goodness. you can do. And on the flip side of it, that blood work that they do, fine, dandy, but that's just what the lab says. They don't really dive deeper into it unless the lab machines, computers pick up something. So recently, just this year, I actually had a blood smear done. I'm assuming that blood doctor probably did a blood smear on your
Yeah.
blood. And it's amazing what they can learn about the blood that the computers don't pick up. That they really look at the cells and how the cells are shaped and the organisms living in your blood and the bugs and all the things and
Yeah.
all of us have bugs inside there, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's about you eat a lot of sushi. But there really is a deeper level. But most doctors don't say, okay, well, they say they look at the numbers like you're fine. So they don't do that smear. They don't order the smear. It seems
Yeah.
unnecessary. And I guarantee you that doctor you met with, that blood doctor did the smear and that really helped pinpoint things.
Yeah, and that's his specialty is hematology. Like that's what he does. And it was just so crazy to have this. I told him he can never retire, by the way. He was like, "Yeah, okay."
Right.
But, the crazy thing is that during all of this medical stuff, cuz I, was hospitalized a couple times and um I still was able and I this last time I was in the hospital, I was in for about 2 weeks with the blood clots and all the nurses and techs were like, "How are you still like happy?" And like, I was everyone's favorite patient. Okay. They would, when they had downtime, they would come hang out with me and talk to me because yeah, I just was like, and they're like, "How are you doing this?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, what am I going to do? Sit here and pout? I mean, yeah, I'm not happy that I'm here, but I'm going to make the best of it." I read books. I, did all sorts of like activities. Like I talked to friends. I did, Zooms and FaceTimes with people. Like I really just made the best of it. And I think for me, humor is my thing. Like I am really reliant on humor, sometimes a little dark humor, it does the body good, but I don't know. I just don't, I guess it's my default, just whatever, and I would just try to focus on something positive, like, and that's something I've learned over the years. I was not always a positive, happy, go lucky kind of person. Before all my medical stuff happened in my early 20s, I was definitely negative. I would hold grudges. I would focus on things like, for instance, I'd have a party, right? I'd invite 50 people, 47 would show up, but I would focus on the 3 that didn't come instead of the 47 that did. You know what I mean? Kind of stuff like that. And then when all this stuff happened, that all went out the window. And it just completely changed me internally in so many ways. And I'm not the same person I was back then. In the last, I would say 10 years specifically, I've grown, in my journey, in my faith, in my personal development. I really have tried to, focus on trying to have a healthy mindset. And, I started seeing a counselor at one point, like my mom died a couple years ago and that was very traumatic. And I started talking to somebody after that because I couldn't handle it. And, but it was so eye opening to take the time to do those things for yourself, to like be able to have somebody from the outside show you something that you don't see and then you can fix it.
Yes.
So yeah, it's no matter what has happened or how many traumatic things I've gone through or what's keeping me down, I always try to walk away with, okay, well, what did that teach me? How can I grow? How can I get better? If I can't, then it's like, I don't know. I feel like you should always try to improve and you should always try to learn and grow. That's just me, I'm a perpetual student of life. Like I want to learn, I want to grow. I want to better myself. And if I'm not doing that and I feel stagnant, then
On you.
I'm not happy. Yeah. Like, and again, this is not necessarily everybody, but I figured if I can share my story, maybe I can encourage somebody else to try to do the same thing, or try to think, it's all about reframing a situation,
Yes.
And that's also too where I kind of come into with LadyBoss is, all through this medical stuff, I've gained, I've lost, I've gained, I've lost. And, I've been having trouble with my, water intake and water retention and things like that. So now I'm in a place where I've gotten the all clear on every angle and I've actually ready to just dive back in. And so I'm starting my journey from scratch with LadyBoss. Like I am starting from the bottom,
Yes.
and I am excited because even though I've been around and I know a lot of people in the group and I understand kind of like the fundamentals of Lady Boss, it's different than understanding it and then putting it into action, right? And that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm kind of just starting fresh and just kind of like, all right, you know what? It is time to just start fresh. Whatever happened before happened. Now I can move forward, you know? And for me, a long time ago, I would, throw in the towel at a mistake, or I would give up, or I'd get frustrated. But two things I always tell myself is it's progress, not perfection, which I know you
Yes.
love. But also, I feel like every meal is a chance to start over. So, 15 years ago, I would have been doing great and had meal that wasn't great. And then I'd be like, oh, it's over. I can't do this. You know what I mean? But now it's like,
Mhm.
okay, well, I'll just pick up in the next one. Like Thanksgiving is coming. You bet I'm going to eat all the stuffing and the mashed potatoes and the turkey.
Me too. And the apple pie.
Yeah. And then the next day I'll get back on track. That's all you can do. And I feel like there's so much societal pressure on us to be perfect as women and to look a certain way, to act a certain way, to be a certain way, to do a certain thing. But realistically, we are all unique individuals and we need to be able to put that out there. And that's why I love the fact that you changed the name of this to Unapologetic, because I really am trying to just authentically be myself. And for a long time, I have always been told, "Oh, you're too loud, you're too much, blah, blah, blah." But now I'm just like, you know what? That's too bad for you, you know? Like, yeah. So I actually heard a song the other day. It's by this singer called Dove Cameron. It's called Too Much. And the chorus is, if you say I'm too much, then go find less. And I was like, you know what? That's going to be my new motto.
I love that. I'm taking notes. I've got to go find this song because I don't think I've heard it.
So it's so good. I listened to that song and I was like, you know what? Yes, because from childhood, I've always been a talker. I've always been loud. I mean, I'm also Italian, so I'm very loud and expressive. Not to be stereotypical, but it is kind of true. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like I have so much in me to say, and I'm gonna
Reason.
say it whether you like it or not.
You're not everyone's cup of tea, but you're someone. Someone needs your story.
Yeah,
You said it a
exactly.
few minutes ago. If I could share my story and impact whoever needs to hear it, then I'm doing what I need to do, right? Like, and that is so true because we're not everyone's cup of tea. Those 3 people that didn't show up to the party, they at one point stole your joy because you weren't focusing on the 47 that you could pour into or that were pouring
Right,
into you and vice versa,
right.
right? And, like, when you're able to change that perspective as you've done, like, not only is it, like, so empowering, but it just brings so much joy and freedom and
Yeah,
gratitude and
yeah.
lightness. Like, you don't mean, like, light like the light, like, yes, it brings that, but, like, weight off your shoulders light
Yeah.
even.
Yeah. And I feel like too, being able to rely on people and lean into friends and lean into family or whoever you have that is your support system is really important too. Because when I was younger, we didn't talk about our feelings and emotions. We didn't talk about mental health. We didn't talk about this stuff. But
Yeah.
now it's a different world. And I encourage people to share. And sometimes I'll have people be like, why do you got to share all this information with people? Because somebody needs to hear it. And like, every year on the anniversary of my mom's passing, I post about it and I talk about how it affected me and this and that. And you'd be amazed on how many people are like, same, me too. I lost my mom. I lost like, I know there are people who are in the same boat as me who understand how I feel and don't want to feel alone. And that's the thing is like, nobody wants to feel alone and isolated. So the more we talk about things and the more we put it out there, the more we can have camaraderie with people. We can, let people know they're not alone and maybe find people that are going through the same thing that can support you or you could support them, you know?
And letting them know they're not broken. It's like I say it a lot with, like, hormones and menopause and all the things is like,
Yeah.
it's like that real darkness that gets you, like, it's not that you're necessarily depressed, like, your hormones might just be out of whack, who knows? But, like, you don't have to suffer in silence because 'cause you're not alone, right? Like, other women are experiencing it, but, like, as you said, it's like we've been told to, like, keep it to ourselves and stay quiet and don't complain and all the things, and it's like but then that just makes us feel like we're even more crazy, like, I'm crazy, I will admit it, and that is not a bad thing, I
Same.
am me, I'm crazy, I'm fun, you might not think I'm fun, but I think I'm fun.
Yeah.
But if I share my story and even the hard times, the good times, the ugly times, all the things, but there were many, many, many years, and I still struggle with this where I'm like, I have to figure it out myself. I can't,
Yeah.
no one wants to hear what I'm going through. No one wants this. No one, and then that's where
You shrink.
you shrink and that
Yeah.
depression or that anxiety grows and it festers and it gets meaner and louder because you feel like you have to suffer in silence. And sharing your story not only helps you liberate that person you're starting to shove into a box, but also helps so many others that feel the exact same way.
Yeah. No, I agree. I gotta say, Kaitlyn, you are so my vibe. If we lived in the same state, we would be besties. We would go to Starbucks and go shopping all the time.
You think you're up by Chicago?
Yeah, like come on up. But no, I that's what I love too about I feel like this podcast and like the reinvigoration of Lady Boss has been so exciting to watch because you're genuine, you care and that comes through so much in you. And I admire that about you that you can put that out there. But I know also it is hard sometimes because maybe you're like, "Oh, I don't want to go live today. I'm tired and I'm feeling achy or whatever we all feel like as women. Sometimes we wake up and everything hurts, like,
When everything hurts, some days we're ready to sleep, and then there's weeks where we're like, I just want to be in my pajamas all day.
right. But you always put yourself out there. And I love that so much. And it really is inspiring. And, I think that encouraging that is so healthy. I gotta say, like for me, going live in the gratitude challenge for Lady Boss, I've never gone live on Facebook before. Okay.
You're
Yes.
radio. It's
I
like
know. And the funny thing is, I literally am on the radio every day. I interview people. I talk into a microphone to hundreds of people or thousands of people. But going live in the Lady Boss group for the first time, I was like shaking, which I was talking to Jocelyn, another Lady Boss. And she was like,
yes.
"Really? You were nervous?" I'm like, "Yes." And she was like, "Well, it didn't show." But it felt so good afterward that I did it like 3 more times. So, yeah. So I feel like getting out of your comfort zone is so important. And I feel like Lady Boss is a safe place to do that. And you cultivated that. And I just got to say thank you for that.
Thank you. It's because of you ladies that I do what I do and I get to do what I do and took the scary, scary, scary leap of owning this company. But it's so much more than me. It's so much more than you. It's the impact we can have beyond ourselves. And it's just so exciting that not only I get to be a part of it, but you get to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And all of our voices amplified together is louder than one. And I feel like we really have a place where we can use our voices and we can put things out there and support each other. And it's so nice to have that because as you get older, it's hard to make friends sometimes. And sometimes you live in an area where you're a little more isolated or it's a small town or maybe you don't know anybody. It's good to know that like we have a safe place we can land. And that is what I love about Lady Boss is that you can literally go in there at any time of day, at any time and post anything and someone's going to hype you up.
Yeah, it blows me away the women that are in there. Like you always know someone. I can't even like name drop because there's so many. They're gonna be like, "No, I got you." There was a post a few weeks back. What was it about? It was kind of darker. Like I'm just struggling to have any energy. Like I was doing so well and I fell off and I just don't have. I think it was someone online was like she had no energy to do anything. She didn't even like get out of bed. And like I think there's like 50 comments
Yeah.
on everyone like flew in. I'm like, oh, and like that was before I ever even saw it myself. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, I love it because you're right. Like it's not always in our communities or our families that we can find what we need, or we're not willing to say what we're needing or what we're struggling with because it's too close to home, right? Like that way it puts a little layer there.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost feel like it's easier to talk to people you don't know as well about stuff than people that you know. It's like that unbiased, like, kind of confirmation that they can give you or whatever, or advice.
And I love some good unbiased like feedback. Like
Yeah.
give
Give
me
me
different
all
perspectives.
of
Let
it.
me
Yeah.
like I want to think of the bigger picture. Like I want to find all the good. Like I might be like, here's this instance, and like here's what I'm pulling out, and like I'd be telling you, Nicole, and you'd be like, oh, but like, didn't you like see this in it? And like that's even like you could take that from like this learning experience too. I'm like, ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
So I love that collaboration and things and being able to see whether it's be professionally or personally or with parents or kids or
Yeah.
all the things. Like having that outside feedback is huge.
It's important for sure.
It really is. So you have chosen to wake up positively every single day, even on the hard days. Turn the bad into good with all your ups and downs of your medical history and your health struggles and your deathbed. Like, do you have a practice that you do every morning or every morning that you just don't, you feel like staying in your pajamas all day?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, one of the most important things that I try to do every day is a gratitude journal. And it has changed everything. Like being able to reframe your mind to look for gratitude as opposed to not. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be a notebook, a spiral notebook, and you just write 3 or 4 things you're grateful for every morning. Take 5 minutes to do it. And then I also have this journal. It's called Write the Word. You open it up. It's beautiful, by the way. And it has like a Bible verse. You hand write it and then you reflect on it or whatever. So those 2 things for me, I feel like bring me so much centering and peace, like to kind of like, okay, now I can kind of focus and set my day up for success, you know? And I'm also a big planner too. Like I love my planner and I kind of like write out what I'm going to do that day. And like just having that like schedule, like obviously things can adapt and change, but like having an idea of what that day is going to look like in advance helps me so much because if I don't do that, I just feel chaotic all day, you know?
What happens if like a wrench gets thrown in that calendar and it blows up on you? Like, how do you
Well,
handle it?
I will tell you, when you work in radio, there is not such a thing as stability, normalcy. Things change on the fly, you know? So I'll have a plan for the day and then I'll have a project that needs to be done right away, or I'll need to edit and record something that needs to be done quicker, or I'll need to go and do an interview somewhere offsite or whatever. So I just kind of look at what I have going on. Okay, what can I move around? How can I do this? And I kind of saw this. I don't remember where I saw it, but it was like a what needs to get done and what can wait to get done. And then
Mhm.
I'll just kind of focus on this needs to be done today. This I can worry about tomorrow. That's a tomorrow problem, you know? But there was one time I went to work and I worked through the day. Everything was fine. I came back the next day. We had a completely new staff except for one other guy and myself. We had a new slogan, a new catchphrase, and new color, like new logo, everything. And they were like, okay, here's all the new talking points. Have a great show. And I was like, cool. So I just jumped in and I did it. That's the thing, like with what I do is you never know when things can change. So, but I feel like that taught me a lot too. You know, my career is not something that everybody does. It's a little bit different and untraditional or whatever. But one of the things that I feel like I really learned that I could take from my career into my personal life is being adaptable and being flexible. And I am a little bit of a control freak and I'm trying to let that go.
It's a hard thing as a female. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So I am very type A as well. Like I just want to get it done, get, you know. So one thing that I've been working on over the last couple years is trying to let go of things, trying to delegate more, and also I also like to call myself a recovering people pleaser. I used to say yes to everything and overload my schedule. Now I look at, okay, what are the few things that I'm really passionate about that I want to be aligned with that I can focus on? And then anything else, if I have the time, I might be able to, but I feel good about saying no because I have my things that I do, you know, because I'm very involved in my community as well. Like I'm in a bunch of different organizations. I do a lot of volunteer work and I would love to help. I have a servant heart. I would love to help everyone, but physically I can't. There's only 24 hours in a day. So I've just aligned myself with a few organizations that I know I can dedicate my time to. And if there's time to do other things, I'll try, but I can't guarantee it, you know? So
Yes.
I actually got asked to MC a fundraiser recently, and that was really fun. So, yeah, but I was able to do
Oh,
it.
you're right. Well, you're behind the mic, but in person behind the
Yeah,
mic.
yeah, it was different. I was like, "Oh, there's people here. Okay." You know? But I had the time, I was able to do it, and it was awesome. And it's things like that that when you overcommit yourself, you can miss out on, you know? So, I've really kind of tried to cultivate what I'm gonna be a part of and what I can say yes to, which also is hard for women because we wanna take care of everybody, you know, and do everything, but we can't, unfortunately. So, we gotta figure it out.
So you mentioned a little bit ago, oh, not a little bit ago, your three things that you do to set your day up: your gratitude journal, your calendar. But the second thing you had actually mentioned was your verse, right? The word verse. Can I ask you about your faith a bit? Like when you first had your heart issue when you were 27, were you strong in your faith? Is that something that developed over time? Like, what was that? What has that journey been like?
Well, it's been interesting because I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic all girls high school. I did CCD my whole life. And, you know, after being voluntold everything, I kind of walked away from religion overall after I graduated high school. And I always still prayed every day, but I didn't go to church. I didn't participate in anything. I just would pray before I go to bed. Ironically, the first hospital I was in was a Catholic hospital, and there was a huge crucifix right in front of my bed. So, I actually was the one thing I did while I was going through that, I did a lot of praying because no matter what out of my whole lifetime, I always would still do that every day. Cause it's not that I didn't believe, I just didn't want to be part of that anymore, you know? And I was told I had to do things. I wanted to find it on my own. So I did a lot of praying and I do believe that prayer works because there's no reason why I should be here. But it always was something that comforted me. And I knew that like no matter what, I would be okay, you know? And then I would say probably around 2021 ish. I started watching this church online, which I saw somebody else was doing. And now, granted, I grew up in a Catholic church. This was a lot different. There was a band and it was
Oh,
like
yeah?
the preacher was in jeans. And I'm like, what is happening? You know what I mean? But I really felt like I really liked it. And I really felt like something changed. So I started watching this online. I joined a small group. I started volunteering online and kind of dove back in on my own terms, you know? And I would say over the last couple years, I've been able to meet local friends who watch the same church online. We've gone to concerts together. We've done all sorts of stuff together. We've volunteered together. We've gone to the food bank. We've gone to feed my starving children. Like we've done all these things together. And what I was missing all those years was that community that I didn't know I needed, you know? So I would say I'm kind of on the road back to figuring it out. I'm not perfect by any means. And I wouldn't say that I'm, a model.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm like a model person, but I do try to make it a priority and I try to participate in my group and I try to volunteer and I always try to kind of think of that. And I, the Write the Word journal is a really easy way for me to kind of have a few moments to myself. And it's really a cool journal. It's like very pretty and like you can write a verse out and because it's ironic. I went to CCD and Catholic school, but I don't remember anything. So I feel like I'm also starting this journey from scratch as well. But it's been really, really fun and really cool. And I've had a lot of great things happen. I met a lot of great people and it really was comforting to know that like I had that support as well from this community that like rallied around me. When my mom passed away, my group that I was in, these women really showed up for me in a way that I can't explain. It was all because I watched this church online one day, and it's really cool. Like it's been really
That's
fun.
amazing.
Yeah.
That is so amazing. Would you mind? I'm sure there's someone listening that's like, I am scared to go to a church in my community. I've been looking for something online. Like, would you mind sharing what church it is?
Yeah, it's Elevation Church. But I also like VU Church in Miami. That's a good one too. Both very good. Both pastors are really cool. But I've just been aligned with Elevation for a couple years now, and it's really fun.
Is Elevation Church, is their worship team the Elevation Worship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
seen them in concert a bunch of times. They're really fun. But what I like about it too is they came here for a pop-up event and I met a bunch of the people that work there. And every time I see them at different events, this one guy specifically remembers me because we totally bond. He's like, "Oh, radio girl, what's up?" And like the people that work there meet hundreds of people all the time.
Yeah, it's the church.
But they remember me specifically and like discussions we've had, and I really like that. And I thought that was really different and unique because again, this is all new to me. Like I've never been involved in anything like this. Like I've always just gone to a brick and mortar kind of Catholic church. And to be honest, it's kind of nice because you can just watch it at home. You could watch it in your PJs if you wanted. No one's going to judge you. But it's another thing too. It's like, okay, I'm interested in revisiting this, but like going to a church is very daunting, or going to a new place. And that's just not a church. That's going to a restaurant by yourself, going to a movie. Like it could be daunting, So I like that I was able to find a way to still have that faith and spiritual growth, but do it in a way where it was comfortable and it worked,
Especially because it's so different, like you mentioned, than a Catholic mass.
Yes, very
To walk
much.
in a building where the service is that much different, I can only it's
Yeah,
very different.
very different. So, but it's been so all this is, the last couple of years I've been kind of doing that. And I just feel like all of these things have kind of been helping each other to getting me to the next place I'm going. You know what I mean? And getting me healthy, getting me spiritually healthy, mentally healthy. Now I want to get physically healthy, and that's kind of my next step. So yeah, it's, instead of taking that time where I couldn't work out physically or I couldn't do things, I grew spiritually or I grew my personal development. Like I just find ways to do what I need to do. Yeah. I don't waste the time, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
It definitely does. You can't take it all on at once. And so it's perfect.
Yeah. It was kind of funny how it all worked out. Yeah, exactly. And trust me, there are a couple days where I will rot and just watch TV and do nothing.
We all
need that.
Girl, you need to stop. You need a break. Some of the days, like, can I work out when I'm sick? I'm like, you can, but your body's legit telling you need
your
a
body says no.
let your body.
Yeah. So it's been really exciting to kind of just figure it out and find what works for me, And I think everybody can kind of figure out what works for them in a way where it's healthy, it's happy, you're not hurting no one. I feel like my spiritual journey, my health journey is mine and nobody else's. And, nobody needs to understand or agree with what I do. And I don't need to understand or agree with what they do. But I do think that we can all mutually respect and understand, like, everybody has their own path. Um,
Yes.
I gotta say, I feel very, very blessed and loved because this past year has been hard, but I feel like I'm going into a whole new chapter.
You are for sure. So I guess with that, what's one birthday wish for the year ahead that you have?
I feel like for me, I just really want to focus on taking better care of me because, as you probably know, you're a mom. I'm not a mom. I just have cats and they are enough, let me tell you. I have 3 of them. I put myself on the back burner a lot. And I have spent almost my whole adult life doing the hustle, working 2 and 3 jobs, not taking care of myself, striving and this and that. So now I want to try to focus on me and thrive in every way. So I guess my birthday wish would be I just want to give myself the opportunity and the to take care of myself and love myself the way I love others. So yeah, it's just hard, but I'm gonna try.
Yes. You're going to do it. That's all we can do. Progress over perfection, right?
Exactly.
So as we wrap up, looking back, what would you say to the version of you who was in the thick of it when you were hurting and scared and unsure and all the medical things were happening? Like, what would you say to her?
That it's gonna be okay. It's gonna get better. And I also heard this other quote. I love quotes, by the way.
Me too.
Nothing is permanent. Like when you are in that place, when you are in a dark place, you're scared, you're uncertain, you're depressed, you're sad. That is not permanent. That is going to change. That's going to fade. And I really held on to that when I was in those dark places because I know, okay, this isn't permanent. This isn't going to be like this forever. I know I'm going to be on the other side of it. And just knowing that you'll get through it and you can't give up, you just have to keep going. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, not to be cheesy, but there's light on the other side of it and you'll get there. That's what I would tell myself because there was plenty of times where I didn't think I would.
I love that. And that is great advice for any woman who's listening and going through a hard time right now. All right, I got a few rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes.
We're going to rapid fire it?
Yes.
All right. You might have already answered this one. Oh, let me tweak these a little bit. That one, I got some of these we already talked about. Just kind of rolled with the flow.
I'm a talker. What can I say?
All right. We're mixing it up a bit. All right. So, first one, favorite concert of all time?
Oof. Okay. I would say it is a toss up between 9 Inch Nails, which I just went to a couple months ago, one of the best shows of my life, and being able to see Madonna back in the day.
I bet that was incredible. Oh, rapid fire.
Yeah.
Defines your next chapter of life.
I'm sorry. What was the first? I didn't hear the first part.
One word that defines your next chapter of life.
Fierce.
Starbucks coffee order.
Ooh, usually a venti iced coffee with cream and vanilla.
Signature catchphrase or your go-to quote.
If you can't be good, don't get caught.
How is Nicole living life unapologetically today?
I am just gonna be me, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't sugarcoat things. I will tell you how it is, and I'm never gonna change that.
Yes. Never change it. You are truly you. Nicole, thank you so much for being on today. Your story is truly a reminder that we don't have to be fully healed to be powerful, that we can show up with strength and resilience and joy and gratitude, even in the hard times.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies, we can choose to show up. We can choose to speak life. And ladies, Nicole does that so well. If you're not already following her, please do. Go check out the LadyBoss community. Go check out the live she did back in November for the Gratitude Challenge. And Nicole, thank you for being that light and sharing your journey with us so openly today and showing us what it looks like to be both strong and soft at the same time.
Thank you for giving
also-
me. Sorry.
No, you're good. Also, I just wanted to say happy birthday.
Thank you. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk with you, Kaitlyn. This really meant a lot, so I appreciate it.
I'm so thrilled that you reached out and wanted to be on. Ladies, for you listening, if you ever want to share your story on the Unapologetic podcast, DM me, reach out, email LadyBoss, let us know. We want to share your story. We want to highlight it like Nicole shared hers today. Because as she mentioned, it's not about the 3 that didn't show up, it's the 47 that needed to hear it. And there's always at least one that needs to hear your story because you're not alone. Thank you so much, ladies, for tuning in to the Unapologetic podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, all the things, share with your friends, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.
I'm showing up as the woman I was created to be. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be real.
One woman's courage gives another permission. I'm done waiting for someday. My time is now. I'm walking in faith, not fear.
God's plan for me is bigger than my fear.
No more hiding who I am. This is the real me, and I'm not apologizing for her.
Thank you for tuning in to the Unapologetic Podcast. If today's episode fired you up, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new one. And hey, leave a quick review, or sharing this with a friend helps us reach more women who need this message. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and keep living unapologetically.